Oh, hello, Chris. Today, we will start Incoterms. The Incoterms rule has become an essential part of daily language of trade because they are incorporated in contract for delivery of goods worldwide and provide guidance to, import, export, lawyers, transport, insurance, and student of international trade. We have updated Incoterms called 2020 and we have the also conventional Incoterms 2010. First, we will start Incoterms 2010 base and then we will find the key change recently updated 2020. Okay, comparing two Incoterms, we'll find what has been changed and what is the key of the Incoterms. Okay, we will go steady and I believe you guys follow me, okay? Okay, Incoterms is very critical in trade and very essential terms we have to detect what it means. So I hope you will be very enthusiastic to find and studying these terms. Okay, we'll go. Okay, first, as I told you, we will study Incoterms 2010 first. Okay, the Incoterms 2010 is composed of 11 terms, and we will study each of it and meaning and what it means. Okay, Incoterms as the terms define seller and buyer of their cost and risk when seller delivery goods to buyer. Okay, the reason why the ICC confirmed this term is because to prevent traders from confusing once they have some trouble in trading. Okay, that's the reason. If you define Incoterms in your contract, your solution, once you have some problem, once you have some conflict in trading, will be easier to settle down because Incoterms is a common sense to detect what it means once you have the troubles in trading. Okay, so now we will study each of Incoterms means, okay? What it means. Then we will go to comparison between Incoterms 2010 and 2012. First, X work. Okay, one of the 11 Incoterms 2010 is X work. This is quite basic work terms, meaning that the seller delivers when it places the goods at the disposal of a buyer at the seller's premise or another named place. For example, works, factory, and warehouse. Okay, if I give you additional explanations of this sentence, is that the meaning of this sentence is that, okay, when seller and buyer agree to X work, the obligations of seller is limited to their factory or any premise or any named place, meaning that the seller has only to put the product on certain place, okay? And after that, his obligation is dismissed. The price can be, settled down by mutual agreement between seller and buyer, okay? And then the basic price of the, seller's obligation is released is usually working price, factory, warehouse, like that. Sometimes it can be, settled down by agreement between two parties. Okay? Anyway, if the seller put product on that, he has no obligations after that. Okay? Meaning that, again, the cost to put it on, correcting vehicle is by buyer, not seller. Okay? And the risk while loading product on vehicle also on buyer. Okay? This is the most, uh, latest, responsibility of seller. Okay? Seller only to put their product on certain place designated. That's it. Okay? The buyer should do their process for exporting also in seller's territory, in seller's country. Okay, this is the one of the most commonly used term, but not only exporting, but domestic trading more, because ex work do not concerning of exporting itself. Okay, then the seller does not need to load the good on any correcting vehicle, nor does it need to clear the good for export, where such clearance is applicable. Understand? Okay, again, the seller does not need to load the good on any correcting vehicle, nor does it need to clear the good for export. This sentence, okay, nor does it need to clear the good for export, meaning that this term usually used for domestic trading, because seller do not have to, clear the good for export. Okay, and next, FCA, pre-carrier, okay? FCA is used for the container transportations, not bulk transportations. In case of the bulk transportations corresponding to FCA, you usually use CIF. Okay? The pre-carrier, what it means. Okay? Pre-carrier meaning that the seller delivered the good to the carrier or another person nominated by buyer at the sellers. Okay. Premises or another named price. Meaning that, okay, the seller has only to put product on the carrier, loaded, okay? Okay, loaded. After that, his obligation is dismissed. He has no obligations after that. He don't have to pay for more cost after that, okay? Okay, once you agree pre-carrier, then the seller has only to put product on, vehicles to the carriers or another person nominated by, buyers at the seller's premise or another named price. The carrier or vehicle can be, prepared on sellers or another place, wherever the seller has only to put product on the vehicle. That's it. Okay? That's FCA. And this term is used for container transportations. We have to keep in mind that. Okay? FCA is for container. Okay? FCA is for container. Okay, good. So we are generally, scanning the term 11 of, 2010 Incoterms. Okay, furthermore, the parties are well advised to specify as clear as possible the point within the named place of delivery at the risk of passes to the buyer at that point. Okay, so we have to specify the place where where the price will be, the price where the obligations and cost will be stopped of sellers. So FCA pre-carrier is for, the seller's obligation quit is that once the seller loaded product on the carriers. Okay? Okay, later on, I think you don't have to worry about, even you don't understand what I'm saying now, rapidly, I'll show you by illustrations for your easier understanding. And we will have repetition later on soon, so do not worry about once you don't understand this one, okay? You can just scanning the definition of terms in this page, okay? And then in next upper, higher page, we will see more, okay? In detail, the descriptions and the meaning of terms. Okay, Incoterms 2000 rules for any mode of transportations. Okay, you can use this one for the land transportation, and you can use this one for what? For marine applications. Whatever. You can use any mode of transport. Okay. FCA. Okay, then CPT. Carriage paid to. Okay. The meaning of carriage paid to is that the seller delivers goods to the carrier or another person. Okay. Who? Another person nominated by seller at an agreed price. This price, if any such price is agreed between parties. Okay? If any such price is agreed between parties. So, CPT is corresponding to, okay, the carriage paid to means that the seller delivers the good to the carrier or another person nominated by the seller at the agreed price. Okay, so CPT is the carriage paid to. And the seller must, contract for and pay the cost of carriage necessary to bring the good to the named place of destinations. Okay? This is different between, okay? This is difference. Okay. Because this is similar to a CIF or, okay, a plate and, okay, like CIF, CPT, in CPT terms, the seller has to pay for the, cost of carriage necessary to bring goods to the named place of the destinations. Okay? Okay, go next. Okay, CIP is a CPT and CIP is a similar, but CIP adding insurance. Not only, cost the carriage to the destinations, but insurance. Okay? Insurance should include not only cost to destinations, carries cost to destinations. Okay. Carries and insurance paid to. Okay. This is carries and insurance. Standing, the initial of CIP stand for the carriage and insurance. Okay. Means that seller delivers the goods to the carrier, okay, or another person dominated by the seller, okay, at the agreed price. If such a price is agreed between parties, and that seller must contract for and pay the cost of carriage necessary to bring the goods, okay, to the named of the destinations. Okay. In this term, the seller should pay the carriage and insurance cost, okay, to destination. But the obligations of, seller will be stopped to carriage, okay? But he has to pay for the carriage and insurance to the destination agreed between two parties, okay? That's difference, meaning that the risk and cost point is different. The risk and cost point is different. Okay? That is the CIP. And also the CIP is corresponding to CIF. Okay? The CIF is only for the, marine transportations. But the CIP is for all transportations. The seller in CIP terms the seller also contract for the insurance cover against the buyer's risk of loss or damage to the good during the carriage. The buyer should note that on the CIP, the seller is required to obtain insurance only on minimum cover. Okay, on minimum cover. If the buyer, wish to have more insurance protections, it will need to either to agree as much expressly with the sellers or to make its own extra insurance arrangement. Understand that? Okay, in CIP terms, the seller should be paid for the insurance and cost to the destination's price. The destination price can be agreed between two parties. But in case of insurance, the insurance level, which should be, paid for by the seller is the lowest level. For example, ICC, but from the both parties' agreement, this level will be increased. Can be increased. Or only by buyers, paying for this, he can increase the level of insurance. This means that should the buyer wish to have more insurance protections, it will need either to agree as much expressly with the seller or to make its own extra insurance agreement. He has to make its own extra insurance agreement if he wants higher grade insurance to protect product. So it depends on each party's agreement, or it depends on the decision of buyers. If buyer wants to higher level insurance, he can only pay for that with his cost and with his, extra money. Now we are studying the Incoterms 2010 rules for any mode of transportations. DAT, delivered at terminal. Actually, if I say in advance, the Incoterms 2020 DAT term is deleted. Instead of DAT, we will have alternative terms later on. But to make the understanding between two, terms, we will study DAT, what it was. DAT, delivered at terminal. Delivered at terminal, meaning that the seller delivers when good once unloaded from the arriving means of transportations. Are placed at the disposal of buyers at the named terminal, at the named port or place of destinations. DAT was the only terms which seller should unload it. the product at the certain destinations called terminal. Okay, the terminal, the destinations, the place is limited to the terminal. Okay. Okay, the terminal is the final destination where seller has obligation to unload product. Okay, so if the buyer want to transfer this one from the terminal, the seller has no obligation to unload product. Understand this one? Okay, this is DAT. Okay, the obligation premises where seller has to unload the product is within terminal. Okay, if the logis is out of terminal, the seller has no obligation to unload that one. Okay, we will have a short break and we will continue next.